Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about the Markable Map. The Markable Map is one of several different required resources. So let's talk about that first before we dive in. What is a required resource? Well, different levels will have different required resources. One is the timeline book. Mine is ancient. Mine looks very different than yours. It used to be called the Book of Time. Now it is the timeline book, but it is the book that has the place where you put all your figures. And Anne did a great live on the timeline book. So that is one of the required resources. Another required resource is if you are doing the all subjects package, then you will need not only the Markable Map, the Book of Time, but you will also need the integer block kit if you're doing Matthew C. So you will get a big box. I just have a little sampling here of these interlocking blocks, and they will help you see math. That's why it's called Matthew C, because you have these blocks. And so if you are a first-time purchaser and you did not order the required resources, you will be missing these blocks and you will need them to do Matthew C. Hello, I see Natural Creations is coming on, and Jillian, thank you for being here. When you order your Markable Map, it should come with these markers. These are called wet erase markers. How are they different than dry erase? Well, dry erase sounds just like that. Hey Jeanette, thanks for coming on. So dry erase, when you write on your surface, whether it's the Markable Map or a whiteboard or whatever, a dry erase means you can just erase it and it'll go away. And the reason you don't want to use a dry erase marker unless you're going to erase it every single time is that exactly that. It's going to rub off and then it'll make a mess. So wet erase markers will stay on, like you will have it on. But then when you are ready to start over, or like maybe every few weeks you're going to erase it and start fresh, then you take a paper towel or a rag, a little washcloth or something like that, and you just wipe it. Hi Amy and Eva, thanks for being here. So that is what wet erase markers look like. You can purchase the map without them, but I highly recommend these. I've had these for a long time. So that is the wet erase marker. So for ASPK, those are your required resource. Your timeline book, your Markable Map, and the integer block kit. Then you will see when you're placing your order, and a lot of you have already ordered, but that is where you're going to see it. Hello from Nigeria. Good to see you, Amanda, and the other Amanda. We have several Amandas. Welcome. So there are required resources, and those are the things we just talked about. But then you will also see recommended resources, and those are things that are not going to be scheduled, or maybe they're extra, and they're just recommended. Things like electives, the Ruth Beachick book, which, well, it's actually, well, yes, it is. Mine was a collection of 3 books, and now they've put it all into one book called The 3 R's. It's a great resource, and it's sort of what Sonlight is based on. Originally, it was based on that. Yes, we're gonna talk about flipping in just a minute. So recommended resources can be electives. It can be the Ruth Beachick book. It could be the labels. So shoot, I didn't grab a book. I'll be right back. I am. So Sonlight creates labels that you can put on your spine. Mine, I actually created my own, and I label it with the level that it is and what it is. So Core 300 Literature and Core A Read Aloud. They used to be called Core. My books are old. So book labels are a great thing to have to keep your books. You think you will always remember that this great book was in level B, but Trust me, you won't. You'll be like, oh, it's somewhere, ABC, somewhere in there, but I don't exactly remember. So in order, as you continue to homeschool and as you buy different levels, Jillian, we're going to get to that, I promise. So as you are doing different levels, you're going to start mixing up books. So having labels on your books are great. And so that's going to be one of the recommended resources. The book labels, be advised that if you affix your labels to your books before the 18-week mark, it will void your Love to Learn guarantee. Sonlight has a great guarantee. The Love to Learn guarantee is where you can use the material. You get to write in your workbooks. You get to mark up your instructor's guide. You can crack the spine and all that. And if you get to week 8, 10, 12, 14, and it's just not working for you guys, you said, you know what, I really wanted this to work. It's not working for us. I need to return it all. Or maybe you decide to put your child back in school. You can return the entire all subjects package and get a full refund, but not if you've put the labels on your books. So you may want to wait till the end of the school year to affix the labels on this year's books, and then next year, if you're like, oh no, I am sold out with Sonlight, I'm definitely going to be using Sonlight, then you can label those year's books with the labels. Or it can just be something that you do at the end of the year. So those are some recommended resources. So that's the difference between required and recommended. Required, they're required. The reason you may wonder, well, why, if it's required, why don't I just get it in my package? Well, because every year when you buy an all subjects package, you would get another map or another timeline book, and you don't need it. So I like to say it's like when you go to the restaurant and you want ketchup for your burger or your fries, but you don't want them to douse it. You want to have the freedom to control. So you say, can you please put that on the side? So just think of these required resources as being on the side. You need them, but they don't automatically come in your package. Okay, so let's talk about how do you use this thing? So first of all, I want to show you that it folds up. I know all of you know that because it came in your box that way. But this is a trick that I learned. These are called binder clips. These little clips here, and I just use 2 binder clips and hang it on the wall. That way I can easily flip from one side to the other. It comes off, we can put it on the table or the floor, and the kids can write on it. They don't have to write up on the wall, they can write on the floor, and then you can hang it back up without any issues. I know some people use Velcro or command strips. That's great. Some people have 2 maps, like Be a Quilter does, and that way you don't have to flip sides. You just have one US and one world on, up at all times. But I took down some artwork so that I could hang this here. Usually I would hang it here at a child's height, but I didn't want to put new holes in my walls. So we're just going to use these screws that I already have. So the Markable Map is 2-sided. You can reverse it. Natural Creations, you start using the Markable Map in level K. So if you have a preschooler or a pre-kindergartner, you won't need it until you start K. Okay, that's a great question. So I have it up on the US side because I'm going to demonstrate how to do it using the All Subjects Package K. So I have my working binder. So I've pulled out week 1 pages and I put it in the working binder. And what do we have? We have this laminated map. And so some people think, oh, I have a laminated map. This is not the Markable Map. This is the Markable Map. This is the answer key. This is where when you have a map point that tells you to go look up Norway, then this is how if you don't know where Norway is, this is how you're going to find out. So for those of you who are doing kindergarten and you want to follow along with me, I am doing level K and I'm going to start with the HBL. So this is my instructor's guide page for HBL K. It's week 1 and we're going to start, I have the 4 days, so I have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And when you see a little globe, so I'm going to come in close here, you can see these little icons. These globes indicate that there is a mapping point. So where do you find the information? You find it in your notes, okay? So on day 1, the very first map point is for the book, The Very First Americans. Okay, so here's the book, The Very First Americans. Day 1, there's a globe. There's also an N. The N is telling me that there is a note to parents. So I'm going to flip the page over and I'm going to look for, these are the titles of the different books. So I'm going to look for The Very First Americans, and it's right here. And then day 1 is right here. And after day 1, these are all of the discussion questions that you can, or you don't have to use them. They're there for you to use if you want them. So I'm on the wrong page. So day 1, at the end of all the questions of day 1, there are timeline and map points. Okay, so Anne has already talked about the timeline. I'm not going to get into that. But on day 1, there are 2 map points. And it says, compare the map on page 5, that's in the book, which I don't have, to the same location on your world map. So I don't have that book. So I can't look up the map on page 5, but that's what you're going to do. You're going to open up The Very First Americans, go to page 5 and compare that area that's on the map to your map. And you're just going to point things out. Oh, look, like let's say it's talking about the southeastern United States, for example. And so you're going to point things out. You see this long tail looking state? Okay, so that's what's on your book. So let's find it on the map. And so you're just going to point out things that you can easily identify. The second map point says, find the northwest coast of the United States, today found near the state of Washington. And then it says B2 map 1 after that. B2 map 1. What does that mean? That is your answer key. So you go to B2 map 1. So this tells me it's map 1. So this particular level has 3 maps. Map 1, map 2, map 3. And then it just works like a grid. So B1, here's B, here's 1, and it shows right there, northwest coast, and it's shaded in. So that's when you ask your kids, can you find this on the map? And you look for clues that can help them identify. So you may point out that it's on the left side of the United States. It's on the top side of the United States on here. And then you're going to look for like this little indent body of water, this island, and you're going to see it up here. And then you're going to label that northwest coast. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you have 4 different colors to your markers. So you could color code things. You don't have to. You can do everything in black. I really don't care. It doesn't matter. But if you wanted to, you could color code blue to be bodies of water. So if it's going to tell you to identify the Indian Ocean, the Mississippi River, the Caspian Sea, like any of those bodies of water, you can identify in blue. You could identify land masses in green. So whether it's telling you to identify a country or a region, you know, like, I don't know, the Sahara Desert, or, you know, Mongolia, a country. Maybe it'll be a smaller region within, so like a county within the United States, or maybe like San Marino is a country that is totally encapsulated by the country of Italy, so it's a country within a country. So you could use green to identify those things. Black could be for cities, towns, capitals. You could use it to identify also states and countries if you didn't want to do the green. If you wanted to keep green for like forests or deserts, like geographical pieces, and this can just be names of city, states, capitals, things like that. And then red you could use to outline a region. So, so you could do red for the Northwest Coast because it is an area. It is not a town, it is not a city, it is not a state, it is not a landmass, it is not a water. It's a geographical area. So you could just outline it in red and then label it Northwest Coast. So that is one idea for using your colors. Okay, so that is the first map point. Then, going back to my schedule, if I am working vertically, my second map point is under Dolphin Adventure, which is a read aloud book. So that is going to be found. So that map point, you're going to flip to the back, section 3 of your instructor's guide. So there's a tab, section 3. That's where the appendices are. Go to the back, and that's where you will find the pages that will have the cultural literacy, the comprehension questions, and the map points. That was a cute book. You're exactly right. So for this particular day 1 of Dolphin Adventure, it talks about the Gulf Stream is an ocean current that runs from south to north along the coast of Florida. Using your finger, trace this on a map. So here's the coast of Florida, and it's telling me it's an ocean current that runs from south, and here you have a compass rose. You can talk about that. What is north, south, east, west? You can talk about that. So it runs from south to north along the coast of Florida. So it's telling you to trace it with your finger, but again, you could use your blue marker and draw a line and label it Gulf Stream. It also has the little symbol here, and it's saying South Florida and Palm Beach. Those are 2 things that you're going to label, and the answer key is telling me it's on map 1. So I would go to my map 1, and it's saying that South Florida is G7. So G7 is going to be right here, and you see it says right there, South Florida. So then you would find it on the map. Now you don't find it on the map. You show your child on the answer key and you say, can you find it on the big map? And can you write South Florida? And you would probably do it in black because it's the name of a state. And then the other map point is Palm Beach, and it's G8, and it's right there. So you just follow the grid and there's G8. So then you would also mark that on your map. And that is it for the mapping assignments for day 1. That's all that I have on my History Bible Lit. So on day 2, there's only 1, and it's under the very first American. So again, you would go to your notes. Here's day 2. Here are the timeline and mapping activities. You would read what it says. You would do what it says. Here's for day 3. And then on day 4, the book is different. So the very first Americans, you read it for 3 days and you're finished with that book. So it goes back up on my shelf, and then I start the next book, Heroes and Happenings, and you're going to read pages 1 to 4, and there is a timeline point and a mapping point. And that's going to be, again, on my notes. Here's the Heroes and Happenings, date 4. These are the questions, and here are the mapping points. So the mapping points for this one are St. Lawrence River, Norway, Iceland, Greenland, Baffin Island, Labrador, and those are found on map 1, map 4, map 5. So I have more than 3 maps. Haha, I have 2 more maps on the back. So 1, 2, and 3 on this side, 4 and 5 on this side. And again, you just look for the grids. So now this is for the world, okay? So now you're going to take your map down and flip it around, and you're going to find this on this side. And this is why Bea Quilter says she has 2 maps, so you don't have to flip it back and forth. And that is a great idea. Lisa did that. I did not. I was cheap. And so we just made do with 1 map. So it's really up to you. If you want to have two maps so you don't have to flip them and you just you know, put them side by side or one on top of the other. Then you would have, you know, four nails and 4 binder clips and all that. You can still take it down and do what you need to do and put it back. So that is an idea. You can have 2 maps even if you're only doing 1 HBL. So what about if you're doing more than 1 HBL? Okay, so you could use the color coding differently. Instead of doing, you know, oceans, regions, land, and cities, you could just do HBLK, HBLD, HBLF. That is another possibility. So do you have to have 1 per level? No, you don't. If finances are of a concern, you can get by with 1. But do you think, oh, my older kids can share 1 map, my younger kids can share 1 map, and then the older kids who may be a little bit more particular on writing and, you know, how it looks, they can keep their map nice and neat, and the younger kids who may want to color it, like they may color the state of Florida instead of drawing the line or whatever. So it's really up to you. There's no right answer. It's whatever works for your family, your situation, your number of kids, your number of HBLs, your pocketbook, your wall space. Do you want to keep up with 2 separate maps? So I hope that answers your question, Jillian, that you have to have two different ones or not. Okay. If you are doing 2 different HBLs, yes, you will have 2 different answer keys, and they're going to be different. They may also have five maps, but what is labeled is going to be different. So these are specific to the level that you have, and it tells you at the top. Exploring American History is level K. So if you have K, Exploring American History. If you have D, it's Intro to U.S. History Part 1. If you have F, it's, you know, Eastern Hemisphere, whatever. So that is what is going to tell you what's what. Let me think what else. Okay, so we walked through how to do it day by day. But I confess, I was not a vertical reader. Lisa explained in our video that we did together that she was a vertical, like she did whatever it said to do on that day, that's what she did. I did not. My kids loved to be read to, and they would beg for another chapter of whatever book we were reading, and you know what? I wanted to keep reading. I enjoyed it, so we would often work horizontally. So in that case, you could just do, like if you read the very first Americans in 1 day, and that's not hard to do. It's only 32 pages long, and it's got lots of pictures, so it's quite doable. Then you would have 3 mapping activities to do in 1 day. Do you have to do them all in 1 day? No, you can break it up, certainly. So it depends on how much time you have, how engaged your kids are. You can always roll it over to the next day. Just use sticky notes. I love these lined, larger sticky notes, and I ordered them on Amazon. They have lines, and it came in a pack of 4 different colors. So again, you can color code it to the HBL that you're using or to your child or whatever. So you could just write down, okay, so we didn't get to day 2 or day 3 mapping points. Make sure I do it tomorrow. When I do day 3 and day 4, I can do those together. So you can either work vertically or horizontally. If it's a lot, like if your kids are like, ugh, you don't have to do it every single day. I think it was, oh shoot, was it Jill? No, it was J.A. Marsh said that she has a child who loves the geography and wants more. So, so for that child, you probably do want to do it every day because it's the highlight of his day and he wants to do it. But for kids who may be a little bit less, what you could do is just save it all for Friday. If you're following the 4-day schedule and you are keeping your Friday open for some lighter type things, it could be the day that you do your mapping and your timeline activities. There's not as much, you're not sitting at the table and doing handwriting and creative writing and math and, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more jump up and move around and things like that. So you could do it daily. You could do it weekly. You could do it every three weeks, and you don't have to map every single point. Is it good to map every single point? Sure, you're exposing your kids to more things. Is it crucial? Is it the end of the world? No. The end of the world is if they can't read, write, or do math. Those are the 3 R's. Those are the things that are essential to get done a little bit every day. But if you don't do every single mapping activity, it's not the end of the world. So don't let that stress you out. As long as you do it more often than not, they will pick it up. They will learn. So there's that. Let me think what else. So someone asked about the dry erase markers. Okay, so for J.A. Marsh, who did ask for more, how much more can I do for your son who loves it? For a number of years, we did participate in classical conversations, and one of the things that they did for geography, if you were trying to be a memory master, you had to be able to draw the maps. So that means you had to like freehand draw it, not just identify, not just fill in a blank map, but you had to be able to draw it. Back in the day, it may have changed. This was years and years ago. So that is an idea. You could have your child trace different states, so he gets the muscle memory of what the states look like. Fun fact, I did not grow up in the United States. I'm a Navy brat. My mom is Italian, and I grew up in Italy. I graduated from a Department of Defense school in Italy, and I came to the States to go to college, met my husband, and stayed. So I am fully American, but I didn't grow up here. So these states in the middle, I still don't know them. Like if someone held a gun to my head, I could identify the Midwestern states, but I got these down pretty well. I certainly got the eastern side because that's where I live, but I don't really know Nebraska, Kansas, Illinois, it's a little bit fuzzy for me. So for that child who just loves geography, you could have them do that. And you could even have them do countries, flip the other side and have them trace that. You can find smaller, this is quite big, so you could have him trace this map. But you can also find just black line maps for free on the internet and print those and have them trace that. So that's an idea. You could have periodic reviews, erase everything, and make a list of everything that you've done, that you've already filled in, and then erase everything and quiz him. Does he remember where Norway is? Does he remember what the Gulf Stream is? Can he fill the map back in? That might be a fun activity for him. All right, were there any other questions? Can the maps work for multiple HBLs? Yes, so we talked about that. They can. What level do you do the map? We've already answered that. Level K. Okay, those are all the questions. So do you have any other questions? That pretty much covers it. What it is, how to find it, how to do it, how the answer key works. I think that's all. You have 10 more seconds. I'm confused by what to do with map points. Okay, so the map points are in your instructor's guide. They are found these little symbols here on your schedule page. You will find what that is in your notes. So you want to go to the bottom where you have the to discuss after you read. You go down to the very bottom, and that's where you find what the map points are that you are identifying. So first you're going to find it on your answer key. This is your answer key, so it's going to tell you what map it can be found on. So for example, for Heroes and Happenings Volume 1, Day 4, one of the map points is the St. Lawrence River, and that is found on Map 1, B11. So this is Map 1. It says so at the top, Map 1. And then it's a grid. So you do B11, and the St. Lawrence River is found right there. So it says right there, it's in blue. It is labeled on your answer key. And then you have your child find it on the Markable Map. So if they look at the answer key and see where it is. Can they spot it? Because nothing is labeled here. They have to find where that is. So yes, you have your kids look them up. There's no room for a 6-year-old to write Olympiad. So you can act as their scribe when they're small, when they're kindergarten and they don't quite have the fine motor skills to write. You can write it for them, or you don't. This year, maybe, you know, if you have a 5 and a 6-year-old, the important thing is, can they spot it? If you point it out here, can they find it here? And it's up to you to make it fun and interesting. You can do a timer. You can race the clock. You can, you know, like make it like a hide and seek kind of a game. A lot of it is your attitude. If you're like, all right, let's do this, then your kids will follow. Mavi, yes. So when this video is over, it will post after a few minutes and you can rewatch the whole thing. I won't go back over everything I've covered. This is a required resource. It is available on the Sonlight website. And if you want, I can put a link in the comments once the video posts so you can find it. But it is a required resource. If you watch the whole video again, I cover all that. Do I erase them each week or keep the points there? That's up to you. So on weeks that it gets really, really full, you may want to just each week erase it and start fresh. It depends on your child. Like, do they get overwhelmed? If there's a lot of stuff on there, then I would erase it every week. If not, then start filling it in. And every time you go to put something on there, like on week 2, if you're going to put something new on there, they are still seeing all the stuff that they've filled in. So they are seeing the Gulf Stream, the St. Lawrence River. So just seeing it is a review. Just seeing it is helping them imprint it in their minds. So it's up to you how long you want to leave it on. Some people do multiple weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Some people do longer and it gets really, really busy. Some people say, oh my gosh, I can't figure out what's going on. You erase it and you start fresh. Okay. Any other questions? Those are great questions. I didn't think that you would be wondering about those things. So feel free, keep asking. I don't mind answering them at all. And if when the video's over, if you're like, oh, I forgot to ask about this, or maybe you think of something, or maybe tomorrow you pull out the map and you do it and then you have a question, just post it in the comments of this video and I will see it. When I post something, I get a notification saying that, oh, somebody commented on your video, so I will see it. So don't be afraid to ask. Or if you want, you can DM me. Just send me a direct message and I can answer any questions there. But really, if you're asking the question, someone else is asking the same question. So just ask the question and then we can just point to the answer every time someone asks the question. I'll just tag them and say, look at what Laura has to say. So I answered that question there. Okay, doesn't look like we have any more questions. So for those of you who came on late, this video will save and post. Give it a few minutes to process. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put it in the comments. These comments will not save, they will go away. So if there's anything that I've said, that's why I try to repeat the question. So if you're watching it afterwards, you know what we're talking about, because you don't get the text to be able to read. So it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to future things. Bye.